How's it going, everyone? It is January 27th, 2019, and wanted to talk a little bit about what happened yesterday with one of the greatest basketball players of all time, Kobe Bryant, passing away in a helicopter crash. Crazy stuff, and so I had some thoughts on it. First of all, thank you though for watching. And if you are not a subscriber to my YouTube channel, head on over to YouTube and look me up, Darren Kime. Subscribe to me there if you like my content. I just want to say a couple quick thoughts though on Kobe Bryant. And growing up, he grew up a year before he graduated high school, a year before I did. So it's not like I was a child when he was playing. But he got into the NBA in 1997. So I was still basically like leaving high school, going through college age and young adult age when Kobe was playing. And similar to Michael Jordan, I couldn't stand him while he was playing. I thought he was arrogant, cocky, and that he was just like he was always on the Lakers, and I couldn't stand the Lakers. I was a Pistons fan. That's why I loved it in 2004 when the Pistons beat the Lakers in 5 games. But with that being said, man, I am taking this one a lot harder than most celebrities that pass. And it's hard to even compare this to what it's like because, man, 2016 is when he retired. It's still fresh on my mind about him. I remember I was in Tennessee visiting my grandparents, and I was listening on the radio as I was driving to their house from Georgia at the time. That's where I was living. And man, he drops 60 points in his final game at what was he? Probably 37 years old at that time. I mean, Kobe Bryant was a legend for sure and will be a legend. Up there among the pinnacle athletes, not just in basketball, but overall. And I was trying to think of who this would be you could compare it to. And I feel like it's almost on the level, but maybe even more so. The only one I could think of that would be close would be like, say that if Peyton Manning were to pass away in a similar situation right now. Peyton Manning, arguably, you can make an argument that he is the greatest quarterback to ever have existed. You can make a similar argument for Kobe. Not everybody's going to be on board. Everyone's going to still say Jordan, and they're going to look at LeBron. There's a couple other greats, but you cannot deny that Kobe is at the top. He is in that, as somebody on the radio said yesterday, he's on the Mount Rushmore of great basketball players. His face is up there. So, it's an impactful thing when you look at somebody that's still young that has accomplished so much. And I was thinking about it. I think what the deal is that Kobe Bryant was so good, similar to Jordan, similar to Tiger Woods, similar to LeBron, similar to Tom Brady. These guys are so good that you cannot fathom them being mortal in a sense. So when this happened, taken away at 41 years old, gone like that on his way to his daughter's basketball game, out of nowhere, it can happen to anyone, man. Like, life is a fragile thing, and we are all mortal. We all have our time. And so, man, now that he's gone, I'm like, holy crap, all of those feelings of I couldn't stand him when he was playing they have evaporated. And I'm left with how I really feel about who he was and the impact that dude had on my life, but also on everyone's life that in our culture that watched him for 2 decades worth of basketball. I mean, the guy had a major impact. And so I have nothing that I can really say at the end of the day but appreciation for him. And, one thing that he said, I was watching yesterday. Now, this was after his last game. I want to tie this in a little bit with what my vlogs are usually about. And the saying that I use for my vlogs going forward is calibrating eyesight to always see the light in the dark places. And Kobe Bryant said something that is absolutely worthy of fitting in with that aspect, seeing the light in the dark places. So one of the things he said was, he said, I've won 5 championships, and those times were amazing, but the years that I love the most, the years that I look to the most, the years that I'm the proudest of the most are those down years, the years where we weren't winning. And he said the reason why is because we didn't run, we didn't stop, we kept going. And in those down years, then they transformed themselves again. They brought on Paul Gasol. This is after Shaq left. They brought Paul Gasol on, and they had another run of it where they got another couple championships. And I just thought that was, he was able to look at those years, because there was a couple years where they were really crappy in between the Shaq years, I believe. And, for him to say that, we had our down years, but we didn't stop. We never ran from it. That's Kobe. That's him saying, I welcome this opportunity. And you can look at it how you want, but this is what I take from it. Similar to that, there is, I'm reading through the Bible in a year right now. And in Genesis 46, this verse goes along with what Kobe was saying. Listen to this. 46, verse 3 of Genesis. Then he said, I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will there make of you a great nation. He's talking to Jacob, who was then named Israel, who is the father of the nation of Israel. And if you are familiar with the context, this is right after Joseph, his son, basically became the number 2 authority in Egypt. And then Pharaoh allowed Joseph to bring his whole family to Egypt. So he brought them there. And as you know, going forward from that point, Israel became the slaves of Egypt. And they were there for, it was like 3 or 4 years, I think. Maybe I'm way off. It might be way longer than that. But I haven't gotten to that part yet, even though I have read it a long time ago when I was a kid. But this is a refresher. Regardless, the Israelites became the slaves of Pharaoh. And this is, and then after that, that's when they went into the wilderness. They were wandering around for 40 years before they finally got to the promised land, and then really started to build their nation. And, Saul became the first king who, wasn't the greatest, but then David became the king. And then suddenly the kingdom of Israel became a legit thing. And then by the time Solomon got there, Solomon was like the wealthiest king. Now, if you were to convert his money into today's era, I believe he's at the top, if not the top, of most wealthy kingdoms in all of existence. If you were to convert his riches to today's standards, King Solomon was balling. Now, he was the third of the kings of Israel. So at that point, Israel hit their stride. And then, you go on and you see what happened after that. You got the exile where other big kingdoms came in eventually and took them over and exiled the Israelites. And then they came back. And then you look at all the way up to 1948, Israel became a nation again. And this is right after, the Holocaust. They're getting exterminated, 6 million of them by the Nazis. So it's like, dang, you look at that. But then it says here in Genesis 46, verse 3, then he said, I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will there make of you a great nation. That is where it all started, even though there was slavery for Israel for a solid number of years and they were treated terribly, but then they became great. And it happened, it started in Egypt. So it started in the darkness. It started in the slavery, the terrible conditions that they went through. formed them to become who they were. And so if you look at what I believe God is doing with the Israelites and what he wants to do with us, and I think the message that Kobe is saying that fits into this is don't look short-sighted. Don't be focused on this moment here. Don't take this moment and apply negative worth to it because of its darkness or its because of your inability to see the goodness in it at the moment. Because these are the moments where God forges us. If you don't believe in God, then call it fate, call it whatever you want. But the moment of darkness, the moment of struggle, of trial, these are the moments that forge us and make us into the great person, the greatness that we can become. And as Kobe said, great wisdom. Do not run from those down years. Embrace them. Let them fashion you into a warrior, into a champion, into somebody successful, and enjoy the process. Enjoy the struggle, enjoy the grind, and say, I'm going to embrace this and take it. So that's what I've got for today. Kobe Bryant, I don't know, we don't know other than the faith in our hearts what happens after this plane of existence. But I know that on this plane of existence where we live here right now, Kobe Bryant, you have made an impact on my life and on our entire country and the entire world, basically. There's people everywhere that admire and respect and love Kobe Bryant. And it took this happening before I could ever even really think about that. Because, like I said, up to this point before that, I couldn't stand the dude. But then you're left with what he was all about. And so that's what I want to focus on. The things that he did to inspire people to be better. And I hope that this can inspire some people also to take those pieces of wisdom and apply them to your own life. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are interested. There are big things in the works, everyone. I'm working on a website. I'm working on a podcast. Music is coming out shortly. Just stay tuned, and we will keep you posted on all of that. And until next time, y'all, I love you guys. We'll see you then.